Alright, welcome to my next video on the Quanum FollowMe drone. This one's going to be a little bit more in depth on some weights and some sizes and comparing it to a few other bits and pieces. So let's get in. Alright, one of the first things you're going to notice is your propellers. It's going to be a little bit hard to balance these, as these aren't going to fit onto a standard balancer. You're going to need something with a threaded shaft that's going to hang over the side. I don't have one of those at the moment. Something else you'll also notice is on the inside here where it threads on. I've noticed on some of the DJI props that center section is aluminium. On this one it's actually plastic, so I wouldn't go ahead and over tighten those too much. They do go on and off very easily. So it is as simple as just spinning them on and off. And the black hub goes on the black motor and the silver hub goes on the silver motor. So that's quite a nice little easy to do when you get to the field. Okay, let's have a quick look at the weight of those. Okay, about 12 grams each. Okay, they're moderately heavy. Okay, what should we move on to next? Alright, let's put that on there. Now, when you are folding the arms, it's something I did make a mistake on the last video. It's really important every time you do fold these arms that you do use that button. It is quite stiff there, and in the manual it does say that it is something that can break, so it's definitely important that you go ahead and pull those every time that you open and close the arms, so we don't want any breakages. Alright, so we've now got our props on. You can see how big the quad is when it's all together ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is install our legs. Now, installing the legs is really very simple. There's just some slides down the side and you literally just slide it in. That's it, just slide it on there. When it comes to removing the legs, it's very simple again. All you do is you give it a little tilt away from the body and pull. There's just some little clips here, so install, pull. Each one of the legs weighs 19 grams, 18 grams. Okay, so we'll put that one off to the side just for a little bit for the moment. Alright, where should we move on to next? Let's have a quick look at the Quanum 4K camera. Now, for a little bit of a comparo, I have my Hero 3 Plus. You can see sizes are a little bit bigger, but we can have a little bit more of an in-depth look. So the length of the Quantum is 59.4. Hero 3, 58.9. The depth with the screen on the Quantum, 24.5. And on the GoPro, 20 point, well, let's just say that's 21. Height on the GoPro, 40.83. And 41.19. Now, I did mention I was hoping it was kind of going to fit in my case. Let's have a quick look. Oh, looking promising, but now it's too thick. The other thing you're going to notice, not only is it too thick, the front button does not line up, and also on the Quantum you also have two buttons on the side. So I've had a bit of a look around this morning and it looks like this is the same form factor as a SJ4000, so I will be ordering a case for an SJ4000, so hopefully it fits in that, so I've got a second waterproof camera. So let's have a look at the weights. This is with battery and SD card in both. So 63 grams for the Quantum, and we're looking at 72 grams for the GoPro. So a little bit lighter than the GoPro, bonus. Next we're going to have a look at the little Quantum gimbal. Excuse me. First thing I do like is it does have some mechanical stops. It is physically going to, it's not going to bind the wire up, so it's a great feature. It is aluminium construction with some little FR4 fiberglass as well, so it does sort of look quite good, so I'm pretty happy with that. There's also some holes on the side here, so if you did need to move it up or down to change the balance of the camera, that would be a nice little feature as well. So let's have a look at how much that weighs. It's 107. Now when you compare that to my Tarot, you're looking at 183, so 184. So that's very, very light compared. So that's a fantastic weight saving there compared to some other models on the market. One other thing that is very nice about this is everything's done with thumb screw. So this morning I had to take my GoPro off this so I could take the weights, and I punted around for a little while for a 1mm Allen key. But with this, you don't have to do that. It's all just done by thumb screw. So we'll take that off. Put the camera back on there. So if you did want to use this as a, like a holiday thing where you wanted to use the camera separately away from the drone, it is quite an easy remove. So it would be, if you didn't already have an action camera and you're in the market for one and you wanted a drone at the same time, as long as this thing performs, it's going to get you a couple of different purposes here. So that's quite good. Balance doesn't seem too bad either. That's lovely. It's not sort of falling or moving around. It's staying quite static. So they've got the balance on that pretty good out of the box. Very happy with that. So next thing we're going to do is go ahead and place the gimbal on the drone. This is where you're going to need some pretty small fingers. So at the back you've got a clip that you have to slide the gimbal into, and then at the front it just leaves you open with this hole. Now I've got this in a jar because I wouldn't want to lose it. You've got this little tiny little turn key. Now the best way I've found is to sort of push down on it while you're turning, and you will get it quite quickly, but you can't really get your fingers in there. So it is what it is. So it's a small tiny little thing. Yeah, it works. Okay, let's move on. Okay, this is probably something I'm the biggest concerned about so far with the whole product. The battery. Now, or weigh the battery. Now we're looking at 410 grams. Now, according to this, it's spec'd to 5,500 milliamps at 11.1 volts, so it's a 3-cell pack. Now, when we compare that to my Multistar 10C 5.2, that's coming out at, let's get that there like that, around 325. So this is a little bit heavier. This is kind of what I was hoping that I could then massage this into my own case. Now, first thing that sort of gets my worry up is it's marked 5500 on this side. When you actually look at the cell itself on the inside, it's only marked 5200. So there's already some funny buggers going on here. Now, biggest problem I've got is instead of using the supply charger, I plugged this into my AccuCell so I could actually check to make sure the batteries were delivered in their right storage mode and how much capacity it actually took. Now, when I plugged it in, I was pretty happy. All the cells came up at 3.82 volts across all three, so it came perfectly stored, which is excellent. When I charged it, even though the pack says 5200, from storage, I got less than 2000 milliamps into this from storage. So that's already sending up some alarm bells that it's probably either damaged or underrated. So that's not good. So having paid for a 5500 pack to have it delivered at 5200 to then get less than 4000 capacity into it from a full dead charge, that's not looking so good. The other thing that's also going to be a little bit hard when it comes time to building my own battery is this is the major on-off switch on the whole drone. This, you push and hold that, very much like a DJI. It's going to tell you it's turning on, and then depending on the state of the LEDs, it's going to tell you how much charge is in here. So at the moment, even though I fully charged it last night, it's only coming up at 75% charge this morning. So there is something seriously going on with this battery pack. So that's not looking good. So I'll turn it off. So to install this, about there, so a bit less than an inch, about 20 mil, and then just slide it on in. Gets a nice snug clip. Alright, so that's sitting off to the side. The next thing we'll look at is the actual watch itself. Now, I have seen a few people ask the question, is this waterproof? No, this is not waterproof. This is really quite thin, cheap plastic, very, very thin, cheap plastic. And yeah, I mean, USB ports and open buttons, and yeah, this is definitely not something you're going to take surfing. The band is also very cheap, so it's definitely made to $1. As long as it functions, I'll be okay with that, but certainly don't take it out if it's, you know, rainy or anything like that. Now, when you read the instructions, there is a lot of stuff this watch can do. Pretty much every button has two functions. It has a tap button function and a hold function. So be it either fly up vertically or away from you is the same button, but used in a different manner. So on the bottom of the controller here, you do have like a little tiny little wheel which controls the angle of your gimbal. Now, that's great, but there's no indent in the middle to say this is where the middle point is. And unless you're using the live view on your smartphone, you're not going to know exactly if you're in the shot. So that is a little bit of a limitation there. The GPS, oh, actually we'll weigh this first. Okay, so we've got 45 grams. The next is the GPS tracker. We'll weigh that straight away. 51 grams, yep, that's great. Now we've got a nice little elasticated band on here. Seems pretty good, seems reasonably comfy. Only thing I found is there was a couple of little burrs on the plastic clip that I had to go ahead and clean off because it did feel a little bit scratchy on my skin. Not that's a big thing, but you know, it can be, you know, irritating if you're wearing it for a little while. There's a little on-off switch here. Again, there's no way this thing's waterproof, so I certainly wouldn't be taking this any kind of water sports. Little micro USB, and when you turn this on, you do get some flashing lights. Now in the manual it does say this will tell you if it's communicating to the watch, will tell you what the battery state of this is, a few other bits and pieces, so definitely read your manual. So okay, that's next. So alright, where does that leave us? Let's have a look at the total weight of the quadcopter when it's going to be in the air. Now, it's important that you fold the front arms first, and then the rear arms. And it can, if you really don't want to take the backpack, you could really store it with the props on. You know, you do run the risk of damaging it a little bit easier, but it really isn't that much larger with the props on it. So let's have a quick look at the total weight in the air. Okay, 1.239 kilos. That's certainly up there, but that's not too bad. Now let's have a look at the actual size of what's going to go in your backpack. So this is going to be obviously your case. So here's your case. The watch is going to go in one corner. Your GPS, we're not going to put it away, but we're just going to throw this on the scale so we get a rough idea. That's going to go on there. So we're looking at 800 grams, and we're going to put the quad on top. So in your backpack, when you want to go for a bit of a bushwalk or a mountain bike or whatever you're into, and you're planning on taking this with you, you're going to be taking 2 kilos with you. So it's certainly not a light one. You're definitely going to know this is on your back. It's a little bit more than I was hoping for, but I guess I'll just have to put up with it. I've got it now. So the other thing you'll be also concerned with is the actual space that it might take up in your backpack. I've got myself a 30 centimeter ruler, or a 1 foot for those in America, and it's looking like it's a little bit more. So we're looking like around 34, 35 centimeters, maybe 13 inches. We're looking at around 22 centimeters, or sort of 9 inches. And in that direction we're looking at sort of 13 centimeters or 5 inches. So yeah, that's about all the dimensions and the quick run through. The other thing I have run into already, the manual itself wasn't too bad, it was pretty good. My biggest concern is there's not much information for either a GUI for doing any programming, or I'd really like to plug it into the computer test the sensors, make sure everything's working. There's USB ports everywhere to do that, but there's no information on what program to use, whether it's a GUI or I can use, can I use Basecamp for the gimbal? Can I use like a GoPro program for the camera? Can I use, something like Mission Planner for this? There's no information on that. So you're pretty much on your own. If it doesn't fly right, I don't know if there's much we can do about it at this stage. That's a little concerning. My other biggest concern, nowhere in the manual was there anything about compass calibration. Now, if you've ever flown GPS drones before, you'll realize how important compass calibration is for making sure the yaw is okay. And if you're ever going to get a flyaway on a DJI product or something like that, chances are it's probably because your compass wasn't calibrated or you haven't done your due diligence and made sure you've got your sat locks and that sort of stuff. So that is definitely a big concern, and I did bring that up with Hobby King last night, and the end of the chat was pretty much use it. If you've documented everything and it flies away, we'll give you a new one. So I've got that in writing, so we'll see how they are to their word. So hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but stay in touch and watch the next video and we'll find out, I guess. Thanks again for watching.